Hello, people of the internet. It's your boy, Skinny Penis, with another fresh from the press replay. Another Super BB. Guess it's a trend, common trend lately that I just enjoy Super BBs a lot. And well, it's Satsuma, and I have to say that I kind of never really picked up Satsuma again since it got released. Played it for like 20 games, was pretty boring. I mean, it still is kind of boring in the sense that it's just like absolutely fucking broken and shouldn't exist in the way it does. But I picked it up again in search of white bars, and damn, that thing fucking provides a bunch of white bars. Actually disgusting. And good replay came out of it. I mean, probably tons of good replays. I mean, these super PBs, specifically Satsuma, since it's like just a damage machine, Alpha Strike damage machine. You get a lot of 200 plus games because like the average is 200k basically, which is already like brain damage to even think about that a overmatching 32mm overmatching super BB that has basically only alpha, like you never load HE in it, so you never get like fire damage or some shit, provides 200k average, which is just mind-bogglingly brain damaged because alpha strike or alpha damage, if it's that high of an average, is insanely impactful. And honestly, like I don't know, we could talk about the fact again that Battleship players are complaining. I mean, if you want to delete something flat, this is the best car for it. The F key is just obscene. I mean, with these kind of guns and minus 35% dispersion on the F key, you're just gonna be nuking people when they're flat more often than not. I mean, 1 out of, I don't know, 10 F keys will probably be aim bugged. That can happen. But otherwise, if a cruiser turns flat, if you catch a carrier, if you catch a BB, whatever the fuck, even destroyers close range or mid range, if you get a good F key and your aim is good, you just one-shot it. There's basically nothing the enemy ship can do. It's all down to you aiming properly most of the time, because the dispersion is not a thing anymore. The base dispersion on this car is brain damagely retarded too. Like it's just insane. It doesn't make sense how well armored this thing is, what kind of reload dispersion and overmatch it gets, the HP pool, the alpha strike, as you can see here, like 3 shells, 16k. I mean, like, I don't know, what's the matchmaking, by the way? Well, no carrier, no sub, I mean, that's happy. Submarines, you don't really care. But carriers are obviously a problem in Super BBs. I kind of mind carrier problems in any boat, but Super BBs also suffer a bit. At least you can tank tons of damage from the CV and it doesn't really matter. But yeah, here you can also see the reason why it's probably more impactful even to play Satsuma, Patri, or maybe even a Devastation these days. Because Super BBs, or like super ships in general, but specifically BBs, also they're not really that popular. Like, you don't see that many super boats in general. And if you see them, it's, especially on EU, most likely a German boomer on a Hanover. I mean, you can see it here. It's a preußische Flottille. Probably it's like some 50, 60-year-old German guy. Beaching his forehead into the island flat to me and getting point and clicked by me. Or what now? It's 57k damage in 3 volleys. Well, 3 volleys, I think. So you kind of get more impact because you force a, let's say, pretty bad player in a probably incorrectly spec'd Super BB into the enemy team, and now the enemy team is stuck with some idiot in an Hanover in base. It doesn't really do anything. I mean, he already lost half his HP kind of to Alpha Strike nearly. And well, he sits in base, so he's not gonna score it with secondaries. Here, by the way, funny F key moment. Actually underled that. So here I could blame myself more than dispersion or bullshit cruiser armor. Like, it was underled, most of the shells overpenned on the ass. I think it was also aimed slightly too high. So like, yeah, you gotta really mind your aim with this car and the F key. But apart from that, you just have a point and click adventure from spawn. I mean, look, I just moved forward, stay nose in, and I'm just gonna click people over and over. Also in this situation, for example, there's, by the way, no reason to shoot the destroyer here. It's like, what was it, like 13, 14 km or further away gearing. Clicking that instead of just murdering the ships around him is just useless. I mean, a gearing can torp me, but I have great torp protection. I do have DDs here. I do maybe also have a Raider minnow. I don't know if it's a Raider or a Smoke minnow. I have enough people here. I also have a Zao. Like, this Gearing will never do anything, especially he won't do anything if I just kill the people around him. So, gotta shoot the DD may or may not be a bit brain damaged. Also, on the topic of gotta shoot the DD and battleships playing incorrectly, the next thing is I spawned on the flank with my Satsuma. I stay on the flank with my Satsuma. It's a 5 BB game. Me being selfish and going middle, actually, first of all, it reduces my effectiveness. Because, I mean, there would not be really a BB in the flank anymore, so they only have to angle to me in middle. Bit of a shit argument, because Satsuma just overmatches like everything, so it doesn't really matter. But no, I have to stay on the flank. It's best for my team. Best for me even. It's just like you do have to, or basically the best if you have a BB on all positions of the map. Specifically the flank ones are important. And in an ideal world, the flank ones would also allow the middle spawned ones to take, let's say, more reserved and thought through decisions. So basically the mid ones could stay back and then either reinforce the flank or push in the middle whenever they want. Like, it's up to them and their timing in an ideal world where they would have a brain. As you can see, the Vermont, for example, randomly moves over because he's a Mongoloid, yeah. Could call him Mongoloid for that. But me being on the flank, basically just pushing slowly behind the destroyers, is slowly but surely collapsing this entire side for the enemy. And yeah, after a while, you get to access the broadsides of the cruisers in middle. And the moment you see a broadside of the cruiser, you just F-key and you one-shot him. There's basically nothing this the Moine could do. I mean, if he would be angled towards me, well, I just click him 2 or 3 times, not once. There's nothing he can do. I'm outside of his range. He wouldn't, even if he could shoot me, he wouldn't deal enough damage quickly. There's no way a Des Moines or, yeah, also other 30 mil cruisers ever kill you. On the spec, obviously, you're running fire prevention. You're running 5 heals. In case you do get HE spammed, you can heal back a lot. But yeah, you have to have fire prevention, though I don't play improved repair party readiness, because it is a pretty reserved mid to long range snipe ship. You don't want to be super close range, especially not against yourself, for example, or Hanover, because they still have the cheek weaknesses, the Satsumas, which means 32 Overmatch can bumfuck you from weird angles, and the closer you are, the more likely it becomes. So also that's where, for example, Hanover would actually get a lot of value against you if he could fight you close range. He kind of beats you for free. You will never get a sit. You have to burn through a lot of HP with Alpha Strike only. And, well, if he's close range, he can just basically spam your cheeks and he will either get Citadels at some point or just pen you to death. He also has better reload, and the dispersion of the Hanover isn't much of a downside. But even stuff like Patrie can actually basically only beat you if it's super close range. Long range, even if he HE spams you, you most likely out DPM through sheer overmatch. Like, you can just click the entire ship and get pen damage everywhere. Uchakov, close range, obviously also better. Like, so you just want to stay back in this car. You don't want to really go in. But staying back doesn't mean you have to space snipe like most of them Satsumas do. It's still best to be like mid-range. You can take the occasional long-range shot here and there, but it's always best to be like mid-ish range as a BB. BBs are generally like at this stage undodgeable mid-range. Like, the shells are like most of the BBs are too accurate, the shells are too fast. Your dispersion isn't as much of a downside because the closer you are, the more shells you will hit, basically. And, well, yeah. So something like 15 km towards the Des Moines is like perfect scenario. He has barely any effectiveness at that range, and you're close enough to ensure that you probably murder him in 2 or 3 volleys. If you have F-key, obviously cruisers suffer the most. It's actually insane, because you don't have to aim for citadels or anything at all. I would also advise not to go for cheeky, cringe gamer shots where you try to hit the citadel, cheek, whatever the fuck. Like, you can just point and click the ship. Like, it's basically like if a Des Moines would be sitting 15 km from me, I wouldn't try to snipe his nose with an F key and risk missing all of it because he makes a slight maneuver or only overpenning because I only hit the tip of the nose. No, I would definitely just point and click the ship. Any cruiser basically that has overmatchable armor, I just point and click the midsection and get my 25-30k insured damage, because that's what you at least get, and that's mostly half, if not more, percentage of the HP of the cruiser instantaneously removed. And here you can, like, sometimes you just get like long range volleys in. People, let's not say people, let's say BB monkeys kind of tend to disrespect other BBs a lot too. Since I started playing Vermont and Satsuma a lot more for white bars, I actually noticed if you really watch for broadsides, you tend to notice how much battleships disregard other battleships or disrespect other battleships and just turn flat or just sail flat. I mean, it basically shows that the brain damaged monkeys are trained, and their stupid gameplay is reinforced by the dented nature of the battleships themselves. Like, these battleships don't have citadels or very hard to hit citadels, and or like super well protected citadels like Satsuma, where you can sit flat at 15 and nothing really citadels you. God forbid you're further away, nothing will ever touch your sit unless it's like some weird ass cheek shot. Like, it's more likely at this stage at 20 kilometers, by the way, with other BBs, to cheek that thing than to ever citadel it. I mean, unlikely is a nice word, because most BBs are like, they can't. It's impossible to citadel a Satsuma. So because all of these BBs exist and they basically possess zero citadel, they can turn flat, they can sail flat, they can do whatever the fuck they want. And like, even Montana or Ohio, where people would say, well, they have a citadel. Yeah, but when have you ever actually seen a triple or a quad sit at mid to long range on these cars? You mostly get like one citadel, because you have to hit the shells perfectly waterline, because it's a waterline citadel. So like, even if it exists, it's still not like consistent enough to one-shot these things off the map. So you notice that most BBs just literally sail flat. They just disrespect you permanently. It's insane. Like, the amount of broadside shots you can get on BBs is way more than cruisers. And cruisers are already bad. Like, cruiser players are already fucking a disaster. But like, battleships are insane. Like, the amount of the amount of fucking one-shots or heavy hits you can get on battleships is insane. Like, I mean, the Ohio had no reason to take a sit. This Lion had no reason to get one shot. I mean, I overmatched the entire ship, so he would die, and he would still probably eat 25k pen damage here, at least, if he's angled from an F key that hits well. But I mean, does he have to be flat? No, he doesn't, but he still is, because he doesn't give a fuck. You will also see the Ohio is going to be flat later on as well. Like, the Hanover is flat, or was flat the entire time. The Ohio is, the Lion is, everything is flat. Like, all BBs just sail flat. They don't give a fuck. Funny part about that is, again, as I said in the Patri video, that the Battleship fucking dogs are coping about cruisers not instantaneously blowing up when they're flat. That's funny, because most BBs would never be one shot if they're flat at all. As I said, either the sit doesn't exist, it's too well protected, or you can't hit it. Something like that. It's always stuff like Marlboro, I guess. We had a talk the other day on stream, like what BBs actually do have a citadel that gets or let's say reliably removed. And you have Yamato and Shiki on tier 10. That's like kind of the only thing. I mean, if you have enough pen, you will fuck them flat. Otherwise, basically all BBs have a trollish sit, because it's either super low, like even Conqueror, Ohio, or Monty have very low citadels. And then you go, and after those, you go immediately into the battleships that don't have a citadel at all. Like, there's nothing left. Here also, like, is it really necessary to have this kind of gimmick on BBs, where it's like some BBs are 32 millimeters, cruisers generally are 30 millimeters, and like then you have a car like Satsuma that literally points and clicks at any angle. I mean, this was a really bad volley on the repub. If I hit more shells, that guy just eats 20, 25k, whatever angle, every single time. Also here you can see again, Ohio still sailing flat, doesn't give a fuck. I mean, sure, buddy, like, just gets removed off the screen. Remarkable, really remarkable Battleship gameplay. But yeah, like, is it really necessary to have this kind of 32 overmatch? Is it really a good gameplay mechanic? Overmatch in general is already like sketch, but I mean, Satsuma goes to the absolute extreme, where you most likely don't care about any sort of armor in the enemy team. There's like a few Russian ships that are a bit annoying for you in Satsuma. It's like the only ships that you can't really instantaneously remove. Russian ships and Napo maybe. The rest always has like platings or spots where you can just bumfuck overmatch it into the ground. And then on top of that, you are insanely accurate. You can just go for superstructure hits anyways, or side plating shots, whatever the fuck, and arm your shells or fuse your shells and get like 15 to 20k hits on angle targets too. Basically, you're only required to hit like 3 shells to get over 15k damage. I think if you get 3 full pens, you get something like 18, 19k. Remarkable, really. Like great design. It's also funny that basically BBs hope about not one-shotting shit flat, but then like apparently they forget that Satsuma, for example, exists. Like if they want to so desperately get death strikes out, then well, just play Satsuma. I mean, look, this game is 2 death strikes. Most games have at least, like on average, you get like 1 in Satsuma per game because there's 12 people. 1 guy will turn flat to you. It's just the nature. I mean, here you will also see the Zhao actually turns Giga flat to me as well, but the Vermont gets the death strikes before I do. So like, there's 2 Battleship scums sitting here that are just whoring the fucking cruiser for a death strike. I mean, look, the Vermont just leads him, but as you can see, I shot as well, and I only need 2 Citadels, and he's gone. Like, I have over 20k Alpha Strike. So yeah, as you can see here, very laid back gameplay. I just cruised around the map. I had nearly 100k still in the end. I only used 1 heal. Wouldn't have even, or like I didn't really need to use it even. I could have used the AR if I'm like min-maxing to the last bit and get like half a second reload there maybe, or it's probably less even. But yeah, you just run through the map and you can see here you have only kills, shell hits, and citadels. And you do nothing else. You just click your guns on enemy for 345. If the Zhao doesn't get yeeted by the Vermont, I'll probably get to 380, 390 with maybe another Death Strike and a Kraken, so shame. Also, if the game goes longer, I could just kill the Repub for free because I can click him the entire time. And, well, Satsuma gameplay, I mean, it's just absurd, obscene, ridiculous. The car has or poses no challenge really at all to the player if you know what you're doing. It's you basically put every single ship or nearly every single ship in the enemy team checkmate. The only thing once again is torpedoes or a threat like Daring, Yamagiri and Gearing would be a problem, or Sejong kiting in front of me, so they would limit my ability to push. I mean, I could still snipe and stay back. But yeah, it's once again only torps, and even on even then, like Satsuma has the best torpedo protection in the game. Generally, IJN BBs have the best, but Satsuma has like 60% torp belt or some shit. Something around that, 50-60%, maybe more, maybe slightly less, but I think it's even more. And so yeah, even torpedoes aren't that much of a problem for you. I mean, if you have to eat them, well, they still need like 10 torps to put a dent into your ship. God forbid it's Haaland torps. Basically, the Haaland torps are only scary because they engine damage or flood you. The Haaland torps themselves, they don't have the alpha to kill you. You can eat probably 3 sets of a Haaland and you're still afloat. We're talking 3 full sets, so like 30 torps. And if you heal in between, you're probably still alive. You can see here like Preußische Flottille maybe wasn't the best player. He's last, I'm first, so there you go. Super ship implementation, not locking it behind any sort of skill or any sort of limitation. Like if you're a bot, you can't take them. No, like the enemy team ends up with this guy. We didn't even figure out if he has fire prevention or not. Probably he doesn't. He's running probably some suicidal maniac sex spec like most Hanovers do. It's what I noticed. You play Satsuma, you mostly get a Hanover. Hanover insta dies, gets 1 healed instantaneously wherever he is on the map. Like I've never seen, or I have seen Hanovers that played well, but for the past weeks, I've only seen 1 heal shit Hanovers that are like bottom of the scoreboard. Like you kind of just give the enemy team an idiot on purpose while you can just fuck people with Satsuma and you have a brain. Like pretty cool. You can fuck them. Like we one-shot the Lion, Des Moines. The Henry took 37k. The Ohio died. That's 2 volleys on him. 53.9k. Hanover got clicked. This is 2 volleys, I think, as well. 2 or 3. I think I shot 3, but missed 1. Well, and the Zao sadly didn't get deathstruck in the end by me. Well, like 3 shells for 14.7k. Isn't that cool? Well, obviously, since I'm not running any boosters or like only gray boosters, but no, I don't run credit boosters at all because I don't have any. You actually lose a lot of money if you count in the flags here. It's a negative sum game here with the super BBs or any super ship really. I mean, you tend to get slightly more average XP, therefore credits in super cruises and DDs. Super cruises mostly, DDs they nerf the XP income across the board on destroyers. So you get less money as well, I think. Maybe wrong on that. But yeah. Satsuma. Next Super BB, I guess, covered. I think like some other Super BBs offer a bit more interesting or challenging gameplay. This one here is... Yeah, well, I mean, it's brain dead, and also the F key should never even exist. Like, the thing should just be Satsuma base, like no F key. The ship itself is already strong enough. You wouldn't need it. The F key just makes it extremely toxic and gimmicky. And yeah, well, I mean, you know the F key shouldn't exist because they never gave other BBs afterwards similar F keys again. The Uchakov one isn't as effective while having higher requirements to proc. I think Ucha is 3.5 volleys or 3 volleys at least. 3 full volleys with all guns or 3.5. Satsuma is 2.5 volleys. So like also the proc requirements are an issue. Because like Wisconsin, you know that the proc requirements are bullshit because Wargaming on Wisconsin or San Martin made the requirements actual shell hit. On Satsuma, it's so weird. You just have to generally hit in the direction of the enemy ship, so that like you can purposefully aim next to the enemy ship, and if they land in the water, you still get your F key. The only thing you need is lock on, and you need the enemy ship to be spotted when you shoot. It's like the F key itself was already bugged because if you shoot dark, like someone goes dark and then you shoot blind, even if you get shell hits or you death strike him, it won't count to your F key. Like the F key itself is just brain dead. The way it works, what it gives you, and the way it procs, is just all of it is just bullshit. And well, maybe you should play more Satsuma if you want brain dead gameplay from BBs. Anyways, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the Satsuma and see you in the next vid.